I played Pokémon Fire Red for the first time ever. The game was originally released in January 29, 2004, and I haven't played it not even once after 21 years. So how will I fare playing this for the first time? My goal in this video is to white out as few times as possible, create a strong and viable team, possibly even for today's standards, to defeat the game in under 30 hours. Yes, I know, it sounds like a lot, but trust me, that's how long it takes. Will I be able to accomplish this insane challenge? Let's find out and get straight to the playthrough. So before I get into my playthrough, I will talk about the team I am planning on making. The first Pokemon I want to put on the team is the starter, Venusaur. With Sleep Powder and Leech Seed, he can sustain himself very nicely and sustain others while providing crowd control and grass damage. Also, I want Arcanine on the team because he is probably the best fire type to have besides Charizard, and because of his priority move, Extreme Speed, for finishing off kills. I'd also like to use Gyarados, although I wasn't so sure about it at first. But after using it a little bit, I realized he's pretty good on the team, even though he hits off of his weaker special attack stat rather than physical. At least for his water moves. This completes my whole grass, fire, water trio. Of course, I'd also like a psychic type, because in Gen 1, psychic types were the best type in the game, and the only Pokemon that hits psychic types were super effective were Gengar, Haunter, and Ghastly, of which all three of them are weak to psychic because of poison. So I thought of Alakazam, but then I thought, how am I gonna evolve it? So I just had to figure out later what I wanted to do. I also wanted a Tauros on this team because apparently he was really good at defeating Pokemon like Alakazam, who was one of the best Pokemon in Gen 1. Of course, the other thing is to consider, this is not Gen 1, it's Gen 3. However, the last Pokemon I'd like is, well, the pseudo-legendary Dragonite. Makes perfect sense, and I pretty much will use him to create either disruption, coverage, or just hit everything for at least neutral with Dragon Stab. Of course, the thing to consider is Dragon is special, but we can make do with that, so let's get into the game. So I begin by exploring the area looking for Professor Oak, of which, well, because I'm clueless of this game, I have no idea where to find him, so I just randomly walked up and there he is. Of course, Professor Oak decides to give us our first Pokemon. He also gives us our Pokedex and tells us to F off. Of course, I chose Bulbasaur because, you know, it's the best of the three.
And Charizard, I'm sorry to say, but I think he's kind of overrated, so shockingly I'm going to pick the grass type. And I'll almost never go for grass throughout any game I've ever played.
And then of course Gary, being an idiot, decides to challenge us.
Really?
Once I defeated him, I grabbed my things and headed to the next city, which is Puberg.
Poor Squirtle. We're allowed to go. Dude, my Pokemon need healing. So my plans are, I want, since Psychic types are literally the most broken Gen, well, actually this is not Gen 1, this is Gen 3.
But before that, I encountered my first few Pokemon and I didn't really do anything special. What I needed to do is get into the shop, pick up the package, head back, give Professor Oak his things, pick up Pokeballs, go back, catch a Rattata and Pidgey, and off we go. Now the reason I catch the Rattata and a Pidgey is because of HMs. I needed two Pokemon for, well, fly and everything else, and these two fit it just fine. After all that, I get taught by this old man how to catch Pokemon, which I don't need because of got 2 Pokemon already. What the hell is this? Once this man is done with his little old tutorial, I head into Viridian Forest, which of course takes a while, so brace as I skip through this place really quickly. This is one annoying place to get through. There are way too many people here and there are way too many bug type Pokemon, which unfortunately for me, I cannot hit them for super effective. Unless I use Pidgey. But, spoilers, I don't want to use Pidgey because I don't want to level it up. I really don't care about it, frankly. But anyway, as I slowly drain people's life force out to level up Bulbasaur, I then finally made it to Puberg City. Wait, this is Puberg City. So, the previous one was Viridian. Anyway, this annoying ass kid leads us to Brock, which, you know, we already knew where he was because he's at the gym. We go in and we fight Brock, which was a piece of cake to do because he's got 2 Pokemon quadruple weak to grass, which is not exactly something great to have, especially if I have Bulbasaur that has a grass move. After absolutely demolishing Brock, because he never stood a chance, unlike in the anime,
If I want to deal damage, I just poison. Gee, I wonder who's in the Cerulean. Cerulia? Cerule? Whatever. Can I get, hear me out, some boots?
we start heading towards Cerulean City. Of course, throughout all of this, I've only been walking and it's such a pain to not have running shoes. God damn it. But then, the gods of Olympus finally blessed us with running shoes. And now, we can actually start moving a bit quicker. Lovely, don't you think? Of course, then my Bulbasaur decided to finally evolve into Ivysaur. That was pretty quick. But perfectly timed, because my next gym is Water type gym, and I'm going to need all the firepower I can get. Here's a little conversation of me explaining what I want to be doing with my life.
I do want Gyarados and Arcanine as my core trio, and I want a Tauros because apparently Gen 1 was pretty good, so in Gen 3 it shouldn't be too bad. I'd like maybe Dragonite, that'd be lovely. I don't know how easy or difficult it is to get, but... And... maybe a ground type. Like, I don't know. Haven't thought about that.
After literally beating every single person that existed on this planet, I finally decided to go to the Mount Moon cave, which wasn't a good decision, but at the moment I walked in and yeah, I knew that I might be here a while, so oh well. After eventually getting a useless fossil, I headed over to Cerulean City and went to buy a bike until I realized, oh wait, I'm not a millionaire.
What do you mean 1 million? Are you out of your mind?
But even though I wasn't a millionaire, I had big ambitions. That's why I went ahead, fought Misty, and destroyed her. Because water has no chance against grass. Lovely, eh? Once I defeated her, I ran upwards and ran into Gary. And since I did not know to heal before and prepare for this fight, well, let's just say I got extremely unlucky and you're about to see why. Yeah, that was a 10% chance of burning with one move used, and unfortunately that led to my first and only whiteout throughout the entire playthrough, which is pretty good for someone who is playing this game for the first time. After that, we went ahead and fought Gary the second time. We destroyed him because we knew what we were expecting. But also, it did not help that we had like 5 useless other Pokemon before I went and fought him. Oh yeah, did I not mention I picked up a Magikarp off this guy that was selling him for 500 bucks. Great deal, I reckon, especially because it was level 5. Of course I'm kidding, but don't worry, the investment will pay off big time later.
Dude actually wanted to become a Pokemon.
After looking around a little bit to find out where I'm supposed to go, I realized that the police guy was out of the doorway and the Team Rocket guy was further in, so I need to make sure to get through. And then I ran down this long underground path to head over to the next city, which was Vermilion City. After a little bit of exploring, I realized I need to get on this ship. So I went there and immediately started looking around for whatever piece of scrap I could find and started battling a bunch, as well as eventually my Magikarp evolved into Gyarados, which is very nice. Then I ran into this guy again. Isn't he just annoying? Anyway, after slowly draining the life force out of him, we also managed to finally get the HM of Cut. Now we can go and challenge the gyms that were restricted by the little trees that need to be cut down after moving slowly through the gym and figuring out the incredibly not easy puzzle. Obviously, I'm kidding. We faced down Lieutenant Surge and his pile of electric idiocy. After finishing and having literally no idea where in the world I'm going and traveling through caves in different places, I finally realized that I needed to go to the next town. But then I realized, oh, there's a Snorlax blocking the road. So obviously, I'm not supposed to be here. So we turned around and head to the next place, which is back to Cerulean City, so we can pick up the bike. I don't know where we're going to use it, but hey, might be useful. Spoilers, I never used it. Anyway, after wandering around like a headless chook, completely oblivious to where I'm going, I finally run into this, well, gem.
Oh my god.
After that wonderful union, I started wandering around once again like a headless chook, wondering where in the world I'm. going until finally realized where I'm supposed to go. In that weird cave which was blocked by one tree. Nobody mentioned this anywhere. For the love of God, why couldn't I get some indication? This would have saved so much time. I finally made it through there, and after battling a crap ton, I finally leveled up Ivysaur enough to evolve into Venusaur. That was pretty cool, but then I spent like an agonizing half an hour trying to get through all the trainers in the road to Lavender Town, and that annoying cave where I forgot to take the flat HM, and now stumbling in the dark fighting off Pokemon. For some reason repels never worked, and I was forced to fight as many trainers as there were to get to where I needed to go eventually. I finally got out and reached the town. Man, that was annoying. I walk into the Pokemon Tower just to see what that's all about, and of course I encountered too many weird ass people. Of course Gary as well, which is no exception. Of course, as per usual, he stands no chance against Gyarados and Venusaur combo. After defeating Gary, I tried to continue going forward and defeated a bunch of ghosts. Not really, just ran away like an idiot. Like way too many ghosts. But then again, I did defeat a lot of Ghastlies. There were people with too many Ghastlies. I realized, well, I needed some sort of scopes. So I did anything that any reasonable person would do. Go gambling. Why wouldn't I? And I realized that I'm about to walk into Team Rocket's base. So I held that thought and went ahead and absolutely trashed Team Rocket's entire place, getting confused and lost in the puzzles that are there, but at the same time getting a bunch of valuable loot, which will come into use a lot later. As I was moving along, I put a bunch of vitamins into all my Pokemon and made them stronger. Along with that, I gained a bunch. I came face to face with Team Rocket's leader, Giovanni, of which he absolutely got annihilated by Venusaur. Of course, once I did that, he gave me the Silk Scopes. Of course, for some god-awful reason, I decided to go elsewhere besides the Lavender Town, and I took a wrong turn, ended up being blocked by Snorlax and facing this couple with, wow, those are pretty good Pokemon. Well, I managed to find the girl that had the HM with Fly, which, well done, I'm glad I took a wrong turn. I managed to find myself a Pokemon I definitely really wanted, Growlithe. But even more, before we go to Lavender Town, we decided to go gambling, because it's what any reasonable person would do. And of course, what we're looking forward to get is, well, basically anything. So I decided to get Flamethrower, just to give it to Arcanine quicker, because, you know, he gets it at level 49 as a Growlithe. So I head back up and defeat the rest of the members of Team Rocket. Mr. Fiji, I think his name was, rewards us with the Poke Flu, which will take care of the stupid problem with the Snorlaxes. So I immediately headed south to lift off Snorlax. I headed down south, picked up the Super Rod off of the guy that was there, and then headed to the next town, which had the Safari Zone. And, well, the Safari Zone's here, why not just walk in? So I walked into the Safari Zone and I went fishing. And guess what I caught?
Please don't run. Oh my god, my fucking luck, dude, is so terrible.
This left me shocked, pleased, and very disappointed. because, oh man, it took too long. Eventually though, I finally got myself a Dratini. As of now, my team started to look really good. And it would have been good to get Tauros, which, spoilers, I didn't. But, oh well, this is just as good. So, next thing I do, of course, is challenge the next gym leader. If you look how many Psychic type Pokemon are in this gym, you would think this is a Psychic type gym. But no, that's for Sabrina. So can someone explain to me, despite Gen 1 having too many poison types,
Not enough damage, eh?
why am I not fighting a single poison type Pokemon? The only person that had poison type Pokemon was, well, the gym leader himself. Oh, I know why there's no poison types. Because the actual poison gym is the grass gym. Immediately after I challenged the poison gym, I go to the grass gym in Solano City. And of course, Growlithe tore apart through everything. Well, almost. Of course, they gave me the badge, and in the end, I got Giga Drain, which I was very happy to see, although I was very disappointed in its pressure points. I then gave tea to the guards guarding the passages to get me to the next city and moved right along to fight off Team Rocket once again. Eventually, after beating a bunch of Team Rocket members, I managed to level up Growlithe to level 31, which gave me Flame Wheel, and this meant I could finally evolve Growlithe to Arcanine, because there was no other good move that I could get out of him. Eventually, I climbed all the way to almost the top to fight Giovanni. Then this guy arrived. He is literally everywhere. Anyway, of course, I had to whip Gary's ass, as per usual. This guy had a wonderful gift. A Lapras. Well, now I know what my last Pokemon is going to be. So, yeah. I was actually looking for potentially having a Lapras, but I didn't know where to get one. This solves that problem. It's an ice type, and I'm gonna need it later. Of course, we'll see how that goes. This guy rewarded me with the Master Ball, which frankly is quite useless because I already have the 6 Pokemon I'm going to take to the league. So, sorry dude, but thanks for it anyway. So of course the next thing I do is head to the Psychic Gym to fight Sabrina and her band of goons. This battle was quite simple. I mean, what I need to do is bring out Gyarados and he can just run through everyone because they had low physical defense. So it was pretty simple. I started wandering around again defeating other trainers that I hadn't, and then this happens. After a bit of safari catching, I decided to move south to visit the ice cave, of which I found nothing. So I moved back to Paddletown and surfed my way south to the island.
45, close to that, 43.
Eventually, once I got there, I immediately went for the Pokemon Mansion, of which I was there quite a while, but right before that, I was on a mission to record 50 Pokemon on the Pokédex to get the XP share, of which I had to grind it out prior. I also went stumbling around the rock cave for far too long looking for the move tutor for Rock Slide for my Dug Trio. But in the Pokemon Mansion, I don't understand why Repel doesn't even work. I mean, what's the point of it? Also, how many Pokemon keep popping out at you? Jesus. Pretty annoying, but oh well. Eventually, I got through it, claimed the item finder, which with that, I actually got myself 2 leftovers from the Snorlaxes which had dropped them. And we've also finally blessed with an ice move in the form of Ice Beam on Lapras, which would be extremely useful as we'll find out later. After picking the leftovers, of course, I went back to the island to face off the gym leader, which is a fire type gym. Fortunately for me, I have 2 water types, 1 fire type and 1 dragon type, meaning I have 4 Pokemon that resist fire. Well, technically Lapras doesn't because it's also ice, but it hits them for super effective, so yeah, good enough. Dugtrio also hits him for super effective, making things even easier. Lane was definitely the hardest gym leader thus far, thanks to his Arcanine killing absolutely everything on my team, for the most part. Except that Arcanine, which, because I severely crippled it, I brought it down to low HP, letting my Arcanine kill off that Pokemon. But didn't make much of a difference. Perish Song really helped as well. Thank you, Lapras. Eventually the weird guy Bill caught up to me, asked us to do a little side quest for him, and so we obliged. But before that, we need to save a little girl from some weird creep kidnapping her. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into detail here.
Is that Hypno? So the rumors were true. Oh my
Of course,
God.
the next thing I do after seeing that weird event is head back to Viridian City to do my final gym battle. Of course, this is up against none other than Giovanni. I make my way through all his goons as I completely flatline all attempts and eventually fight the man himself. Which of course, he didn't stand a chance. You understand why, and that's when he finally decided to out F4 from forever, pretty much.
What do you... It's still folded. That's very squishy, actually.
Great. Anyway, we'll continue to our obvious final goal, which is to defeat the Elite Four and defeat the League. And of course, we run into our little idiot friend, called Gary. He thought he could stand a chance, but he absolutely got floored. As per usual, nothing out of the ordinary. And then I went to do too much gambling, so I can afford a Thunderbolt to put on my Dragonite, also a Charcoal to put on my Arcanine. And now back to the Pokemon League. But of course, we have to make our way through the victory road, which I'm not going to go into full detail and the extent of how painful this was, but oh my god. This was annoying, but anyway, we finally got through it and entered the Indigo Plateau, of which I was very happy to finally arrive here. But of course, firstly,
Oh my god, I made it. Ladies and gentlemen, we made it. I don't have certain moves on certain Pokemon to actually make me, you know, good enough. Like, I'm missing... Well, let's go through the list. I'm missing Dragon Dance on Gyarados, which is a level 50. Lapras is fine. Maybe another couple levels and it'll be good. Venusaur's also fine. Dragonair, well, you know, it's not Dragonite. Level 55. Arcanine, level 49 for extreme speed. And Dugtrio, we need level 51 for Earthquake. So we're missing on most Pokemon levels. Venusaur's fine, Lapras is almost fine. Everyone else is 6 levels behind, 7 levels behind, 7 levels behind, and way too many levels behind. Oh no. So we're gonna need to farm up, I think. That would probably be the best course of action. So yeah. Not exactly the greatest thing, but let's go do that.
so after way too long of a grind, I finally had the perfect team to take on the league, with mostly good movesets and items. It took a while, but we eventually did it. So this leaves out only one thing: defeating the Elite Four. I check that everything is in order. I walk through the Pokemon door for the first and last time. So basically, my strategy is lead with Gyarados, Dragon Dance to Oblivion, and then sweep. Sounds simple, right? Or it is for the most part, because that's my best, way of doing things. It's my best setup move, and pretty much most of my Pokemon are fine up against her. But I didn't need many, so of course no issues here. Of course, up next is Bruno, which was arguably the worst Elite Four member because of his fighting type Pokemon. I mean, I literally have like 3 Pokemon that resist everything that he has to throw at me. Which, I mean, the obvious thing that ruined Bruno is, for some weird and absolutely nonsensical reason, he has 2 Onix. 2. As a fighting type specialist. Why? Why would you have one of the worst Pokemon on your roster? Like, oh man. Anyway, he's a piece of cake. Besides the rock coverage moves, of course. But anyway, up next is Agatha, of which, well, she was pretty challenging, because I didn't really have anything to hit her super effectively. Well, I did have a ground moves to hit, a Pokemon, but the thing is, I did not know if they had Levitate or not, so I didn't risk it. Anyway, but all I had to really do is chip away as much as I can. It's pretty much all I did. Although Hypnosis was quite annoying. Anyway, of course, Lance was last on the list. Besides Gary, obviously.
Hello, Lance.
But Lance wasn't as easy as I thought he would be. He was actually by far the hardest Elite Four member and trainer I've faced so far, which was kind of shocking because I actually made my Pokemon utterly counter him with multiple moves to hit all his Pokemon for super effective, yet somehow he still managed to knock out 3 of my Pokemon. Quite impressive, honestly. I wasn't expecting it, but nonetheless, he still fell, and even though I still had 3 Pokemon, get ready to see what happens in the end.
You're trash, mate.
Yeah, pretty much if you get 5 Dragon Dances of Gyarados, chances are you'll be able to solo pretty much anything that comes across you. Well, with brute force. Thanks to stupid ass Pidgeot for making this happen. If it weren't for that, I would have probably not made this work. But anyway, Dragon Dance for the win, as I completely annihilated Gary's entire team with 1 Pokemon.
This should be an easy overkill because no defense. This is the only problematic one, but I have to keep going. Big damage, Gyarados. Get him.
This wasn't going as well as I thought, because then the unthinkable happens.
Oh no! No! What
Executor
the fuck?
withstood a +5 Dragon Dance Gyarados with return at max power, and he did it 3 times, which doesn't make any sense. Like, can someone explain to me how this happened?
That's it. What?
How's this possible? This is some new level of plot armor. Well, I don't get it. Like, what? He doesn't have Executor, last time I checked, doesn't have Sturdy. Focus Sash is only used once. Focus Band maybe, but I don't think so. So, what was this? The weird part was, I eventually killed him with the exact same move, with doing literally nothing different. Anyway, this was some Pikachu level plot armor. I don't know. But anyway, I had this type of plot armor too before.
Hopefully, return would be enough to KO Gyarados. Even with an Intimidate. Please? Oh, it's gonna be close. No! That does nothing. That does nothing. Oh, come on, you bastard! How many of these potions does this fucker have? Crit? Maybe? Nope, no crit. No way that kills, right? Yeah. I was gonna say, imagine that kills. I think return's the correct move because Hydro Pump is special, so this will do a good chunk. Maybe it'll be enough. Oh, come on! I don't think that would have killed anyway. What was that? Citrus. Yeah, another one. Doesn't matter. Beat the champion with 3 Pokemon. Actually, what am I talking about? I only needed Gyarados.
And with that, I defeated Pokemon Fire Red for the first time ever. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope I see you again.
So long, till the next game. Which will be... I'm gonna say Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I'm not gonna play the original Gold and Silver because I just don't want to. So Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Yep. Unless we play Emerald. I'll put that as a poll. We'll see. Anyway, till next time.